Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Ora Karuna Swarupaya, Hare Krishna Prestaya. Hare Krishna Prestaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna Nayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna Nayana. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Mohana, 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 Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, 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 Gopala Govinda Rama. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Krsna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Krsna So let us continue our study program. The focus of our study program is to know more about the glories of the Supreme Person, to understand His qualities, to be able to understand and know that we can be with Him, we can dedicate our life to Him, and we can be amiably very focused in putting our love, our whole being in loving reciprocation with Him through the chanting of the holy names. We must understand clearly that the reason we are suffering because we are engrossed in this body, and our meditation have been a focus upon this material world, and our activities is centered around ourselves and looking for happiness through the senses. We become so engrossed. If a person becomes so intoxicated with alcohol or drugs, during the 70s, drug taking is very prominent, and it's become an in scene that if you take drugs, you're cool. So there's this group of singers who are very popular, and they sing, "I can get no satisfaction." Yeah? And one of the singer there, the lead singer, he's into heroin. Shooting heroin or smack. But he became so addicted to shooting smack that when you shoot smack, you're in delirium, it's a different world. It's like you're so much not in touch with this pain, but you experience the pain of loneliness. You want to run away from the pain, so you put yourself in this situation wherein you take drugs, and in this case, heroin. So what he did was, he went into this sort of like detoxification setup wherein, because you're shooting heroin, it's in your blood system, So what he did was, he had a blood transfusion. So to detoxify his body from this encumberment of the effect of drugs. So he went into this detoxification, just like dialysis. Takes out all your blood and put a new set of blood. Because he doesn't want to undergo the rehabilitation process. It's really painful. One of my friend, when he got so much hooked up with heroin and shooting smoke, and he wants to get out, it's really hard. He vomits, and then what he did was, he put ice in a drum instead of going to the rehabilitation center, wherein you'll be put there, and until the drugs in your body is excreted for a time being. It may take a year, 2 years, like that. And with all these seminars there, But you're in pain because you shiver. So when you're not under drugs, you shiver. And you shiver as if you're dying. So the solution for someone who's into shooting smoke, he gets again another hit, shoot again smoke. And then he feels elation. In the beginning, he vomits. Then he feels elated, walking like a zombie. So he took this process by himself to be able to get away from the effect of smoke or heroin. So he goes inside this big drum, put ice. Until he was able to, surpass. So, on a local level, all of us here, we have been so much engrossed because of the mind. Illusion. Desire in the mind. Now we are so engrossed with this body. And when a person tries to search happiness or fulfillment or security in this material, with this material outlook, and in this material world, in this material dimension, and he becomes an alcoholic. Have you seen someone who's really into alcohol? Yeah? Hangover. When he drinks so much, and an alcoholic, he drinks every day, sip. It's not like here in the Philippines, they drink container of alcohol. It's not like that. He takes a sip every moment while typing, doing something. There's wine there. And his whole body is so much numb with the effect of alcohol. And here in the Philippines, when one is so much intoxicated with alcohol, he crawls, and you see them cannot even walk, someone has to guide them, until when he takes that alcohol, it's poison in the body, they call it, he has hangover. And he cannot think properly, and the pain in the head like that. So all of us, because we have become so engrossed, we have been focusing our meditation upon this world. We have become so engrossed with this body. We are so intoxicated. This hangover, everyday hangover. Other effects of hangover we experience is the fear in our heart, the unhappiness in our heart, the insecurity. Obviously, we know that everything here comes to an end. But still, we keep on trying very hard to be stable in a temporary dimension. Because we are not understanding our true identity. We are different energy from matter. So, it is a great opportunity for us when we come in contact with this wisdom coming from God Himself. So Lord Chaitanya tells us the effect that we can be detoxified from this material hangover. All of us are wandering, traveling, going from one place to another, looking, where can I find security and happiness? We have this material hangover that we cannot see clearly. We have become so engrossed, and the meditation we do are all those teeny-weeny bits in our mind of the experience of the suffering of this world, and it gives fear in our heart. And we want to run away from it. How can you run away from the suffering when you're so engrossed with the cause of suffering, this body? So the solution is to enter a world that is not touched by this material world. And how can we do that? We're so engrossed. It is the process of God's mercy coming down. We should appreciate that in our endeavor to run away from suffering, while in this body, we in ignorance, we're doomed to fail. In our attempt to find fulfillment and security, a stable ground wherein we feel at ease and calm, I am now sheltered. Nobody have achieved that while he is in ignorance. So we must be of wisdom. And what is that wisdom? It is the wisdom of the absolute truth, the wisdom about our true nature and our true world that is eternal and transcendental. That is the message of Lord Jesus Christ, to go back to the Father. Jesus Christ ascended into heaven and seated at the right hand of the Father. So the Father has formed our eternal home, the kingdom of God. But we must first understand the formula, the process to enter that world. We cannot enter that world with our gross senses, but rather with this transcendental wisdom of our true nature. All of us wants to love, wants to serve. Our true religion and eternal activity is to engage in activities. But the problem is, what kind of activity will we do and engage in that will give fulfillment to the heart? We're not talking about sentiment or whatsoever. Be real. For so long, we've been struggling so hard. Have we succeeded? Have we experienced calm in our heart? So if we want to achieve this freedom, this success, we must understand how we can be in harmony with the will of God. And what is that will? It is not what all these so-called religionists and pastors are teaching, that to be saved. And they portray God is a person who will judge us and put us into suffering. So we must, surrender to be saved. Salvationism. No, it's not like that. We must understand our true nature. And what is that harmony that we can be focusing? It is connecting our heart, our love, our life with someone who has unconditional love for us, our eternal friend, our eternal Father, the Supreme Person, Govinda, Lord Krsna. And association with this confidential loving servant. And what is that association? It is association with their heart's intent by the teachings they are giving us. So we can be sheltered with that word of love that we can offer and bow down without any calm. My Lord, please allow me to become your servant again, to be under your care. Feeling humbleness. You see, material energy is so powerful. All of us here, we play. Why are we so engrossed here? When we decide to do our own will, God allows us. But it is His love for us and respect, the freedom to choose. So when a person is in ignorance, he tries to play Lord, and something happens. His life becomes so miserable. He's kicked out of his job. His wife leaves him. His sons become a drug addict, and everything really becomes so deep. The experience is so painful. And then when the relationship with God is contaminated with lust and materialism, it's about getting something from God. It is about God, our servant. Then we begin to blame God. We join this group because the promise is that if you join this, you're gonna get what you want. You will be provided. So when it's not provided, you choose again another so-called faith. That after a while, you're not yet satisfied. You choose again. Until the end, you come out really miserable. I tried this, I tried this, I tried this, I tried this. Then you come to the point of confusion. And not only that, you begin to blame God. God, why me? Why me? Huh? Why not them? Why me? How come you're doing this to me? And they tell you, no, it's just a test. God is just testing you. That's why your wife left you, your house got burned, now you have cancer, God is just testing you. That's nonsense. God will not test us. The reason we experience this suffering is because we are away from God. We have decided to do our own will. But we cannot do that in the transcendental world. So God allows us as an educational experience for us. Okay, you can play God, but you're now responsible for action. Good and bad karma is only here in the material world. The world that is... Stay, keep quiet. The world, Vaikuntha, without suffering, material energy is not there. So He gives us this opportunity. But now, because our relationship is envy with God, we blame God. We try to play God. We blame God. How come you're not doing my will? Even though we have families, children, what do? We try to experience, to be surrogate God. My son, I'll protect you, I'll give you this. And you experience to be, wow, Father, you're the supreme provider, But because it's materially contaminated, and you're not self-sufficient, and that person whom you're trying to love, the body thinking, my child, that's false ego. That person, your child, is a spirit soul in that body. Because of material consciousness, you think, my child, but he's not my child. My wife, she's not my wife. So it's all about that. It's about being intoxicated, hangover, that you cannot see anymore. We have become so covered, like this drunkard, this addict. We have become materially engrossed and materially addicted in our meditation, in our focus, because our will now is our own. So that the devotee comes, God's mercy, to teach us. But because we have become so engrossed, we are not interested. Because we are so much engrossed and contaminated with this hangover of playing God. We can see that in our relationship with everyone else. So we must become free from this. So I'll read here the message of Lord Chaitanya. So you can check, am I a matter addict? You can check. And if you are really so much matter addict, then you'll have a hangover. You'll be crying. I'm miserable. My wife left me. I'm miserable. I got kicked out of the job. I'm miserable. I'm so afraid I'm gonna die of COVID-19, I'm miserable. I cannot go to the mall, eat in McDonald's because there's social distancing. I cannot leave. We're locked down. It's all misery, 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 misery. Hangover with materialism. A matter addict. Become free from this addiction. The spirit soul who has this hangover, like a drunkard. When he wakes up, he cannot see clearly. I need a strong coffee so I can be aware. And when he drinks, there's a rush. Where's the bottle of wine? So that's what's happening to all of us here. We're not talking about belief. It is a practical experience. Everybody experience relatively differently, but it's still about material addictiveness. And the spirit soul, you by nature, trying to find shelter in something temporary, is a wrong formula. Is it clear? Is it clear to you? Understandable? Okay. So now, we should not lose hope. Because we can now understand. Yeah, this is a reformatory school. God is giving me the opportunity, loves me so much. By nature, I'm joyful and happy. And now I'm unhappy in this world. What is the problem? Because I'm trying to control matter. Although I'm superior to matter, I'm not greater than matter because matter can engulf me. That's why I'm now encumbered in this body. And not only that, material laws. I am eternally the loving servant of God. I'm not master. That's why the body, the living entity, who is in quality superior to matter, but now engrossed, but covered by this body, what happens? The law of material energy, the law of time, the law of birth, death, disease, and knowledge. It's all packaged in the body. And that is our shelter. And why don't we want to get out of this addiction? Because we have been so engrossed, crawling, our eyes have been blinded, our ears, we have become deaf, we have become immobile. But thinking, I'm in control. Not understanding, you're the person in this body. This body is made out of machine. Just like you're sitting on a chariot. And the mind should be the rein you're holding. And the horses, the senses. And you're riding there, you cannot hold. Every horses goes in different way. The mind, as you're confused, it goes there directly to this abyss. That's why you fall in love. Di ba? You fall in love. Head over heels. Because we are not in control of our senses. We have no spiritual vision and understanding because we have become so much matter addict of trying to play Lord and God. And our relationship is just with the Supreme Person is contaminated with this material disease. What can I get from you? I'll serve you if you give me this, give me that. And what happened? Before, I have a friend, in their place, they have so many saintly figures. And now, he came to this group, telling her, that is idol worship. God is an invisible force. You can never know God. You can never see God. So what she did, she destroyed all those, the statue of Mother Mary and everything that is connected that can help this person remember the pastimes of Lord Jesus Christ. It's all about raising your hand. I am saved. Raise your hand. I am saved. And they have this good intention to experience, calmness, to experience tranquility. But the formula is wrong because it's all about me, about myself, about my control, trying to play surrogate God. So when we come in contact with the spiritual master, sometimes we bring that also. Not only sometimes, My spiritual master tells us, pity the guru who wants followers. Why do we want followers? Because we want control. The spiritual master, he's not thinking he is a spiritual master. But by heart, by action, he's teacher by example. He is always thinking, I am a disciple of my spiritual master. He is not the dominator of his disciples. That's why we are advised in Scripture, we must find someone who is a bona fide spiritual master, who is on the highest stage of love of God, who is not touched by the three modes of material nature. So when a person becomes advanced, and he begins to speak about the glories of God because it's sweet and it's nice, sometimes people come and they want to become his followers, and he begins to love it, and not only that, he's not able to bring them back to Krsna, because when he has followers and someone, because all of us have this material contamination, and the followers, they have their own grief. And you cannot reprimand them that what you're doing is not healthy for your spiritual life. Why will he not speak the truth? Because he's afraid they're gonna leave. So you can check. Why will the person whom supposedly you're following will not tell you the truth? Because your ego, false ego, may be brush, and then you feel bad. He does not understand me. I'll go search another guru. And you, who is not in the highest stage of love or God, you become insecure. What if they leave? No. How can I live? How can I survive with all the amenities I'm in? So they don't speak the truth. So the relationship they have is contaminated. That's why it must be, the relationship we have should be connected with God and the pure, transcendental, loving servant of God, the bona fide spiritual master. Then we can enter that world. We can learn from him the science of spiritual life. So I'll read here before I end Lord Chaitanya's prayer. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction upon the living beings. And therefore you have hundreds and millions of names like Krsna, Govinda, etc. God has innumerable names according to his pastimes, his relationship with different individuals. Just like the Muslims, they worship Allah, the all-compassionate. They bow down, please protect us. Jesus Christ, his relationship, he's with his Father. He can pray in his heart, Father, why have you forsaken me? He has this feeling of sadness in his heart that he slept. But that attachment he has is transcendental, because the more austerity, the austerity he engaged in, the sacrifice, he does not give up. And at the end, when he was crucified, he's telling everyone, Father, let this cup pass as you will. Into thy hands I commend my life. And he said, please forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. So it's not materialism, it's so-called religion or faith. When we cannot get what we want and we experience all the suffering, we cannot make a stand. Our desire to serve God is not enthuse or motivation to carry on. We walk away. Maybe there's another product in the supermarket better than this product that I'm now following, Different individuals have different relationship with God. So you can relate. And those who are making so much progress, They're very close to God, just like the Son of God. And Moses, when you studied the Bible, when God instructed him, he went to this mountain and given the 10 Commandments. Moses, he saw the burning bush. According to our spiritual maturity, according to our spiritual advancement, that will be our relationship with God. So a materialist has a relationship with God. He goes to God as his order supplier. He like going to the restaurant. Given orders, what do you want, sir? What's being offered is burger, French fries, and everything. And then, hey waiter, give me some French fries and add a lot of hot sauce and ketchup. And then, waiter, just like us when we go to the place of worship. My mom is sick. Please, Lord, don't let her die. I'm taking this exam. I hope I can pass. Because if I cannot pass, how can I survive? And then when it's not given, you get angry. You go out and then, I will follow this path again. And you become a born again. Embracing this faith that is temporary. What we must experience is ourselves becoming purified from this materialism. And God himself who comes here, the supreme purifier, purifies us from this materialism because it connects us with his desire. He himself will take this brand to purify us because we are not the supreme purifier. But we must have this humbleness. We must be receiving his embrace. That is the greatest opportunity, God's love, being given to us while we are traveling in this universe, in this body now. So it's up to you to appreciate God's love. And here, in these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. And there is no hard and fast rule for chanting the holy names. Oh my Lord, you have so kindly approached, you have so kindly made approach to you easy by your holy names. But unfortunate as I am, I have no attraction for them. So how can we have attraction to Krishna? He tells us, open your mouth and chant, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna enters your ear, touch your heart, purifies your mind, your heart. But that, because of so much hangover, matter addict, it's really hard to open our mouth. Because our focus is about this world. We sing, I can survive. But who survive? And we sing song, she's on fire. She's really burning with lust. So before we end, I'll just read this short, one page of Krishna. Extinguishing the forest fire. King Pariksit, after hearing the chastisement of Kaliya, inquired from Sukadev Goswami as to why Kaliya left his beautiful land, why Garuda was so antagonistic to him. Sukadev Goswami informed the king that the island known as Nagalaya was inhabited by the serpent, and that Kaliya, one of the chief serpents there, being accustomed to eating snakes, Garuda used to come to this island and kill many serpents at his will. Some of them he actually ate, but some were unnecessarily killed. The reptile society became so disturbed that their leader, Basuki, appealed to Lord Brahma for protection. Lord Brahma made an arrangement by which Garuda could not create a disturbance. On each half moon day, the reptile community would offer a serpent to Garuda. The serpent was to be kept underneath a tree as a sacrificial offering to Garuda. Garuda was satisfied with this offering, and therefore he did not disturb any other serpent. But gradually, Kaliya took advantage of this situation. He was unnecessarily puffed up by the volume of his accumulated poison, as well by his material power. And he thought, why should Garuda be offered this sacrifice? He then ceased offering any sacrifice. Instead, he himself ate the offering intended for Garuda. When Garuda, the great devotee carrier of Vishnu, understood that Kaliya was eating the offered sacrifice, he became very angry and quickly rushed to the island to kill the offensive serpent. Kaliya tried to fight Garuda and face him with so many hoods and poison, sharp teeth. Kaliya attempted to bite him, and Garuda, the son of Tarkisha, in great anger and in great force, disturbing the carrier of Lord Vishnu, struck the body of Kaliya with his effulgent golden wings. Kaliya, who is known as Kadrusuta, son of Kadru, immediately fled to the lake known as Kaliyadaha, underneath the Jamuna river, which Garuda could not approach. Kaliya took shelter of the water of Jamuna for the following reason. Just as Garuda went to the island of Kaliya, a snake, so he also used to go to the Jamuna to catch fish to eat. There was, however, a great yogi known as Saubari Muni, who used to meditate within the water, and who was sympathetic with the fish. He asked Garuda not to come there and disturb the fish. Although Garuda was not under anyone's order, being the carrier of Lord Vishnu, he did not disobey the order of the great yogi. Instead of staying and eating many fish, he carried off one of the big fish, who was their leader. Saubari Muni was sorry that one of the leaders of the fish was taken away by Garuda. And thinking of their protection, he cursed Garuda in the following words: "Henceforward, from the day if Garuda comes here to catch fish, then I say with all my strength, he will immediately be killed." The curse was known only to Kaliya. Kaliya was therefore confident that Garuda would not be able to come there, and he thought it wise to take shelter in the lake within Jamuna. But Kaliya's taking shelter of Saubari Muni was not successful. He was driven away from the Jamuna by Krsna, the master of Garuda. It may be noted that Garuda is directly related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and so powerful that he is never subjected to anyone's order or curse. Actually, the cursing of Garuda, who is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam to be the stature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, was an offense on the part of Saubari Muni. Although Garuda did not try to retaliate, the Muni was not saved from the offensive act against a great Vaishnava personality. Due to his offense, Saubari fell down from his yogic position and afterwards became a householder, a sense enjoyer in the material world. The fall down of Saubari Muni, who was supposed to be absorbed in spiritual bliss by meditation, is an instruction to the offender of the Vaishnavas. When Krsna finally came out of Kaliya lake, he was seen by all his friends and relatives on the bank of Jamuna. He appeared before them, nicely decorated, smeared all over with chandala pulp, bedecked with valuable jewels and stone, and almost completely covered with gold. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, cowherd boys and men, Mother Yasoda, Maharaj Nanda, and all the cows and calves saw Krsna coming from the Jamuna, and it was as though they had recovered their very life. When a person regains his life, naturally he becomes absorbed in the pleasure of joyfulness. They each in turn pressed Krsna to their chests, and thus they felt a great relief. Mother Yasoda, Rohini, Maharaj Nanda, and the cowherd men became so happy that they embraced Krsna, and they thought they have achieved the ultimate goal of life. Balaram also embraced Krsna, but he was laughing because he had known that what would happen to Krsna when everyone else was so overwhelmed with anxiety. He had known what would happen to Krsna when everyone else was overwhelmed with anxiety. All the trees on the bank of Jamuna, all the cows and bulls and calves were full of pleasure because of Krishna's appearance there. The Brahmana inhabitants of Vrindavan, along with their wives, immediately came to congratulate Krsna and his family members. Brahmanas are considered to be the spiritual master of society. They offered their blessing to Krsna and the family on account of Krishna's release. They also asked Maharaj Nanda to give them some charity on that occasion. Being so pleased by Krishna's return, Maharaj Nanda began to give many cows and much gold in charity to the Brahmanas. While Nanda Maharaj was thus engaged, Mother Yasoda simply embraced Krsna and made him sit on her lap while she shed tears continually. Since it was almost night, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, including the cows and the calves, were very tired, they decided to take their rest on the riverbank. In the middle of the night, while they were taking rest, there was suddenly a great forest fire. And it quickly appeared that the fire would soon devour all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. As soon as they felt the warmth of the fire, they immediately took shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he was playing just like their child, they began to say, "Our dear Krishna, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, our dear Balaram, the reservoir of all strength, please try to save us from this all-devouring, devastating fire. We have no other shelter than you. This devastating fire will swallow us all." Thus they prayed to Krishna, saying that they could not take any shelter other than his lotus feet. Lord Krishna, being compassionate upon his own townspeople, immediately swallowed up the whole forest fire and saved them. This was not impossible for Krishna, because he is unlimited. He has unlimited powers to do anything he desires. Thus, end of Bhaktivedanta purport of the 7th chapter of Krishna extinguished the forest fire. So, all of us, in a truest sense, we're all distressed. We're always anxiety. We're burning. We're drowning. So we're given this opportunity. While we are here temporarily in this body, and we begin to appreciate, yes, I can use this body. I can use God's love for me, the time given to me, allotted to me while I am in this temporary body. Then we begin to, when we chant the holy names given by Lord Chaitanya, we become purified from all these impurities, these blocks that has covered our heart, that has become an empty heart, a cold heart, a dry heart, a desert heart. So Krishna is the supreme purifier, the supreme shelter. He's our eternal friend, and through listening, following someone who is on the highest stage of love of God, Bhagavan, the pure loving servant of God, our dear spiritual master, our instructing spiritual master, who are so dear to Lord Krishna, if we simply follow their instruction, the personification of God's love for us, then we will be saved from this forest fire of material life. We can be saved from this ocean where we are drowning. We can be saved from this burning desert world we are in, because we have become so engrossed, our mind has become so focused, and the manifestation of that meditation of focus in materialism is this gross body that we have now, that is connected with all the pain and what the futility of trying to squeeze happiness from a different energy, this body. So that is the greatest care and love given to us. All we got to do is open our heart, and embrace Krishna through the holy names. Haribol Namaste.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarvaya, Hare Krishna Prestaya Te. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarvaya, Hare Krishna Prestaya Te. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nanda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sate Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sate Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Hare Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Hare Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Hare Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Krishna